And so to the final outing on the tarmac this weekend. And no, the weather didn't hold off. It's a very familiar looking front row of the grid for this 50-minute pit stop race. We have John Seal on pole position and the Ferrari of Lucky Kira right next to him. Once again, it's over to Mark Werrell for your commentary.
Thanks, Michelle. Yep, so the cars on the grid ready for the fourth and final race of the weekend for the GT Cup Championship, and they head off on their final formation lap around a rather soggy Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Let's guide you through the grid and the starting drivers. John Seal on pole position with Lucky Kira alongside. And row number 2 of the grid, it's John Dillon who lines up alongside Ben Claydon. Warren Gilbert and Jan Klingenberg sit there on row number 3 with Stephen Walton and Simon Orange on row number 4. It's Andrew Gord and James Guess on row number 5. Row 6 of the grid is John Whitehouse alongside Steve Burt. Row 7, Russ Lindsay lines up alongside Harry Yardley-Rose. And row number 8, it's Craig Wilkins and Alex Stevenson with Fraser Smart and Andy Roby. They're on row number 9. And row 10 is David Franklin, who for this race is joined by Will Tregurtha. Well, the weather has now really closed in at Silverstone and visibility is going to be crucial in this race. There won't be a great deal of it, and really the only car that's going to benefit from a clear windscreen is whoever will be leading when they head towards Copse Corner. Everybody else will be fighting their way through the ball of spray. So, neat 2x2 order for the final time this weekend. We're about to get the GT Cup Championship underway here at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit. Already one car diving for the pit lane is Fraser Smart. The rest of the field now in 2x2 order up towards the start-finish line. Lights go off on the gantry. John Seal and Lucky Kira. Lucky Kira gets a better start over the Lamborghini. They charge their way down towards Copse Corner for the first time. And you can see just how much water's being thrown in the air and how much standing water there is around the circuit. But everybody has just managed to tiptoe their way round through the first corner with Lucky Kira out front and leading the race through the ball of spray. It's John Dillon that's there in second place, John Seal in third place, and Ben Claydon at the wheel of the Team Hard Porsche will be in fourth place and will be the early leader of Group GTB by the look of things. The rest of the field all splashing their way through the Beckett's complex where the circuit flicks right and then left and then right again. And further down through the order, Craig Wilkins, number 80, looking to try and get through and ahead of Harry Yardley-Rose, the young 16-year-old that joins the grid this weekend. Up towards Stowe Corner, Lucky Kira leading, John Dillon second, Ben Claydon's Porsche now up into third place, John Seal, the pole sitter, down into fourth, and coming under pressure from Jan Klingenberg's white McLaren that sits behind, but they're all through Stowe Corner, the race leader in towards the Vale and Club Corner. Lucky Kira's had 2 group wins so far this weekend, but hasn't had an overall win. He is out front in the early stages and leading the race. Number 67, Simon Orange, under pressure from the 82 Ginetta. That's James Guess. James will be leading Group GTH at this stage, but if he looks in his mirrors, John Whitehouse in the JMH Automotive McLaren is right behind him as they battle for the lead of the GT4 homologation class. There is Jan Klingenberg, as I say, right behind the Lamborghini. Not that far behind him is also the car of Warren Gilbert. That's the Top Cats Racing Marcus Mantis. But in towards the braking area for Village Corner comes John Seal in the GT3 specification Lamborghini Huracan, having to work overtime to try and make sure that he keeps the car pointing in the right direction, as is everybody in these unbelievably difficult conditions here. Look at the rooster tails coming up from Lucky Kira, the race leader, as he heads down the Wellington Straight. Apt name, isn't it, in these conditions? In towards the braking area for Brooklands Corner. There's the third place Porsche of Ben Claydon, and now Jan Klingenberg. Is he going to get at the inside of the Lamborghini? I don't quite think he's going to make it at Brooklands, no. John Seal hangs on to fourth. The McLaren's there in fifth place. Warren Gilbert almost outbreaks himself as he sits there in sixth position. And the lead battle for Group GTH has now been joined. James Guess and the McLaren in the hands of John Whitehouse has now been joined by Craig Wilkins. First, second and third in the group, all together in the early stages of this one. Just look at the conditions now. You can hardly see the cars through the grey and the gloom and a mixture of the spray, but the headlamp's picking up just how much water is falling. A bit of a wiggle there from John Seal, hard on the brakes towards Copse Corner. Maybe a little bit of standing water there that he wasn't expecting. So everybody is having to learn and adapt corner by corner, lap by lap, as the conditions just deteriorate, get worse and worse and worse. Warren Gilbert under pressure. That will be the number 67 Ginetta that sits behind him in the hands of Simon Orange. This is the Group GTB Marcus ahead of the Group GTA Ginetta, and then the third of those cars is a Group GTH Ginetta, and that is the group leader, James Guest, the white car with its blue and day-glow flashes. But the race leader's already through Stowe Corner. Ben Claydon safely now heading through that corner in third position. Jan Klinglenberg has made it up to fourth place now. The McLaren ahead of John Seale's Lamborghini that now drops down the pole-sitting car to fifth position. And as they then head out of Stowe Corner, they're heading down towards one of the low sections of the circuit, the Vale, where there may well be, again, a bit of standing water down at what is one of the lower parts of the circuit as the water accumulates. Everybody just safely working their way through. The lap times have really dropped off compared to what they were doing even for the first couple of laps of the race, and you can see even at slow speeds the amount of spray that's being kicked up by a mixture of the Control Pirelli tyres. Now there's a spin, and that's John Dillon, I'm afraid, that's had a rotation. The Ferrari 488, that was coming out of Farm Curve where he's lost the tail end of the Ferrari. He does recover, and he's going to recover still without losing a place because he'd opened up enough of a gap between himself and Ben Claydon's Porsche so as to not lose the place. There goes the number 9 Century Motorsport prepared Ginetta of Alex Stevenson. David Franklin's Porsche is just ahead of him, and just ahead of that is the next of the cars, which is going to be the number 17 car of Russ Lindsay. Russ making a very small mistake again, heading round through Abbey. Just going to show how difficult it is to try and keep the cars on the tarmac out there. But Lucky Kira is doing a great job to be leading this race overall. Ross Wiley is scheduled, the Scotsman, to get on board that Ferrari for part 2 of the race. And as Lucky Kira now heads out of Woodcut Corner and down the start-finish line, you can see the spray behind the Ferrari. You can see just how heavy the rain is falling as he splashes his way yet again through the right-hander at Copse Corner, still continuing to lead the race. And of course now following the spin for John Dillon, it's quite a sizable lead that he has. Up towards Luffield Corner, there goes number 72, which is Steve Burt for this first part of this race. Chris Murphy, the former champion, scheduled to take over that car for part 2 of the race. And as he then works his way down and onto the National Pit Straight, you can see absolutely nothing until finally out of the gloom appears a car, and it's number 67, Simon Orange, who appears out of the gloom. Steve Burt at the wheel of the Aston Martin, not that far behind. They turn their way through Copse Corner and head on to the start of a further lap. Lucky Kira still leading the race and still looking to try and give the Ferrari its first overall win of the weekend. As we say, it's had 2 group wins, but for Lucky Kira, he hasn't claimed an overall win, and he would desperately like to try and do that in this final race of the weekend here at Silverstone. A spin coming out of Chapel Curve. That is the second of the 2 Top Cats Racing Marcos Mantis cars. That's Andrew Gord that's had the rotation. I would imagine a little bit of standing water on the apex of the corner. Safety car now coming out as well. So Andrew Gord hopefully will get the Marcos fired up. Yep, he's disappeared from the scene of the crime, but the safety car neutralising the race, I'm afraid, in what are tricky conditions. Fraser Smart off the circuit, and having also aquaplaned on the same puddle, Steve Burt is off. Wasn't contact between the pair of them. 2 cars in the gravel now bring out the red flags, I'm afraid, and that will bring to a halt the GT Cup Championship race here at Silverstone. Confirmation then of the results, the shortened race. Lucky Kira claims the win from John Dillon in second place and Ben Claydon in third place. Jan Klinglenberg in fourth position with Simon Orange in fifth, and John Whitehouse was the winner of Group GTH in the end in sixth position ahead of Harry Yardley Rose, who was seventh, Craig Wilkins, who was there in eighth place. James Guest and John Seale complete the top 10. Warren Gilbert there in 11th position with Alex Stevenson in 12th place. 13th was David Franklin ahead of Russell Lindsay, Stephen Walton, and the last of the finishers was Andrew Gord. The second drivers never got the chance to race. In terms of the championship points, then the shortened race at Silverstone means that just half points will be awarded, but Sam Randon and Ben Claydon still lead the championship by just 5 points now from Josh Jackson and Simon Orange in second place. John Dillon and Aaron Scott are there in third position with Steve Ruston and John Whitehouse, the champions from last year, fourth overall. Callum Jenkins and Ollie Brown are fifth, and Jensen Lunn and Warren Gilbert complete the top 6 in the overall championship standings.
Such a shame we've had to cut the weekend short, but nonetheless there was some fantastic racing, and there'll be more of the same from Donington Park next time, hopefully with some better weather. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to keep an eye on all our social media channels and of course the website. For now, from Silverstone, it's goodbye.